table, and
Okay.
we printed those records that we pulled from GlideRecord using GlideRecord from the incident table, and we printed it onto the screen. And then we talked about a couple of use cases where we can use it. But before we go to more use cases, we'll try to explore some more types of scripts, and then we'll finally move to some use cases, and we'll try to build some of these components which will contain data from the tables, and we will use it on forms, right? So here is another one that I want to talk here right now, where you are adding a query to the script, the GlideRecord script, right? I'll open I'll open one more window, duplicate window here. This window I'll keep for incident table, where we can filter out records and see the result that we have. And the other window I'll execute the scripts here. So here, this script that I'm going to run is, we're writing a glide record on the incident table, and then we are adding a query to that record, a filter condition to that glide record that we just decided, right? Now the filter condition is priority equals 1. Right? When you set priority equals 1, and then you are going target.query, meaning you are querying all the records from the incident table where priority value equals 1. Right? And when you have that, you are going to print, let's say you are going to print number, right? And let's keep a counter just to count the number of records so we can validate it. And at the end of it, I'm going to print it. Now, before we do that, I'll go here in the incident list of records, and I'll set priority equals 1 here. Again, priority equals 1, we need to get uh, the display value. Oh, 1 is critical here, so we can use this one. I'm going to run. When I run it, I get 34 records where priority equals 1, right? So this is what we do out of the box using UI. If you have to do it programmatically, you will do it using this script, run it. It prints all the incident numbers and prints the count equals 34, right? So what we learned in this script, within this script, we learned about this add query method, which allows you to add queries or filter conditions when you have to get data from the database, right? So this one is add query. Make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
We can also add a select query here by
Select
using
query as
add
in,
query.
select query as in,
I mean, like, let's say, um, select the incident record which are open.
I could not hear it properly. What's that?
Just give me a second.
What's that, Arvind?
You can hear me now?
Uh, not
Now you
that.
can hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm saying if I have to write a select query where all incident ticket having state is open,
Mm-hmm.
so I can write a select query like a SQL query. We can write it
No,
if you want to write.
no. You don't have to use SQL queries here. You have to use the glide records and the filter conditions like this. You are saying like you want to look for all the, all the records where state is open, you are saying, right? if you have to, or let's say on hold, whatever the state could be, right? So if you want to do that, you will have to use it as state equals, right? If the state value is 1, let's assume that we are looking for state value 1. So if I run it, I get 15 count, right? So this is how you have to do. You do not have to use SQL queries. There is no provision for using SQL queries within ServiceNow, right? So the
So this is what we are using as a filter condition using the add query function.
right.
Let's say we have some like store procedure, some business logic we have to build in here in a JavaScript that we can do it here or not.
Yes, you can. What type of business logic you are talking about?
Um, if I want to give an example, um, I would say, hmm, okay, when I come to that scenario, I'll let you know.
Sure. Now it's not like just you can just add one query. If you have to add more queries to it, more filters to it, you can do more filters. So I can do this as well. So remember the earlier when we ran priority equals 1, we got 34 records. We ran state equals 1, we got 15 records. Let's see how many records comes when we have these filters set. So if we are setting priority equals 1 and state equals 1, the value that we get is 1, right? If you can check that here, I don't know what is the state value. So state value 1, let me check. So I'm going to do target to number plus I'm going to do target dot state dot get display value. So this will give me the appropriate state name as well for value 1. It's new,
Okay.
right? So I now know that I apply two filters. One is state is new and another one and filter that we applied, priority is critical. One critical. So when I run it, I apply two filters and I get one record which is 10024. Same here when I run it, I get 10024 as the incident number and the number of records that I retrieved is 1. Right? So as many filters as you want, you can take those filters, apply it and then make your script working. Now if you want to apply multiple filters, your script can look something like this as well. See the type of filters we have used. We just did an equality filter without equality sign. The first one, the one that we just did, we did target dot add query and then we applied priority and then the value, right? But then this is also an equality condition, right? But this equality condition can be used using operator as well. You can see target.add query, priority, and the operator that you want to use, and the value that you want to use, right? Target.add query priority equals 1, target.add query priority greater than 1, target.add query priority less than 3 or anything else. Target.add query, so this is different. Short descriptions starts with error, short description contains error, and these are, if you go here within the filter section, you have these operators. See, starts with, ends with, contains, does not contain, is not. So you have certain operators like this that you can use here. Short description starts with, short description contains, short description in, short description. So when you use in, you are providing a comma separated value of, multiple values into a comma separated string. So you are looking for short description in, error, success, and failure.
So let's say the scenario, Rahul, here is um, we have like incident open date and incident resolve date. Okay, and I wanted to update, what is the time interval between the open date and the resolution date.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is 30 days, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That there is one column in my table which
Mm-hmm.
I said how much time takes to resolve that particular issue.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say when we are resolving that issue, we have some button update the incident as a result. That time my script should find the difference of time interval between those two dates and update my time interval column,
Right.
for example.
Right.
Hmm.
So ultimately the final line here you are
Hmm.
using is target.query, right? So this is statement, this is the execution statement that we are taking care right now. This is supposed to just retrieve data from the table. If you have to update the database, you will have to use something like target dot. One could be insert. We will see how we can do insert or target dot update. See, the bottom line is you are still doing SQL-like activities here in ServiceNow, but you are not writing SQL queries. What you are doing is you are writing GlideRecord. So I can say, you can say that this is GlideRecord queries, which is equivalent to the SQL queries that you write into any RDBMS, right? So what you can do is when you make a GlideRecord request here, you do target.query, right? You get the values. For example, I can put the value where start date, you know, equal to target dot. Let's say the value of the, the name of the field that you're talking about is start date. So I can put the value into this end date equals, and this is when I am getting it from the database, right? And then you can use some, you can get a difference of the start date and end date. And after you have that difference into this variable, you can use target dot update or target dot insert if it is not updated. Update maybe. You will do target dot update and update into the table, into the column where you want to set the value there, right? Now to do date comparisons, we have a glide class which is known as glide date. Glide date has multiple functions related to date time. So you can use those glide date functions to do all sorts of date and time or date and timestamp comparisons, operations on the date time and timestamps that you get. Right. I believe that that class has functions to manage Unix timestamps as well, to do time zone conversions, to do comparison between dates, um, to do all sorts of operations on the date fields that you have on your form. So we'll look into that. We'll look into the glide date class and see how we can make use of the glide date and do operations as you just talked about one case. So we'll look into that as well. Make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So the idea is you can apply multiple filters before you execute the query. Right? I personally will like to, you know, I personally will like to uh, will not like to make use of this multiple filters because it increases the number of lines of code that I write, and then I have to manage all the lines of code sometimes. You know, Instead of doing this, what we can do is, as we talked about earlier, we can go ahead, you know, runtime, we know that what filter we want to apply. We can go ahead and apply multiple filters here. Do and or, and um, then when finally we have the filter set here, we can copy the query that is generated by default after we set it here, and then copy it and then use it a single line instead of all these lines. So for example, if I have to apply all these filters, I'll get rid of all these, put these filters here, and after these filters are applied, I can use a function something known as add encoded query. If I had if I have this ability to add an encoded query, what I can do is within a single line, I can get all those filters applied, right? Let me quickly do this. When I run this here, I get this filter applied, and now I'm going to the rightmost link here, and I'm going to copy this query. And then within here, I'm going to paste it. Right? Now, if I have not done any spelling mistake or typo mistake, I should be able to get the result. Right now, within the using the applied filter, I can see 79 records coming in. Let's see how many of them we get it here. So we get 79 records. And the beauty is, I do not have to apply multiple filters by writing multiple lines of code. Instead, what I did is, I generated a piece of code here, a piece of encoded query here from the list of records screen, the content main area here by applying filters. These filters are out of the box, and this system automatically built the query that is needed, the encoded query that is needed to be displayed here, right? So you can see multiple queries are applied. Short description starts with something. Short description starts with, did I supply something here? Or it's a blank value here. So short description starts with blank value, active equals true, or work start on today, and the last filter is actual start on today, right? So you got those encoded query from there, and you use this method, add encoded query, and you did the same thing, right? Saved your time and made your code manageable. Make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So this is another thing that we should know. Um, the next thing that I want to discuss is target.add null query. There are two methods available: add null query or add not null query. So I'm going to use first short description for add null query. So it will look for the record and find out if any of the record contains short description as null value or something like that. When we run it, it will give me three records where short description is actually null, or there is no value attached to the short description. So if I go back here, I'll go and do short description is empty. When I run it, I get three values. Here I get three values, right? So that method of target.add null query will give you the facility to get all the records where any particular field value is null, right? So see, the field name that we provided here is short description. Right? Now I change it to add not null query, right? So I have to go back here and apply the filter one more time. Short description. And this time I'll do is not empty. Right? And I run it. When I do it, I see that 115 records are there where short description is not null or not empty. Likewise, I change the method here. It's now add not null query on the same short description field and I'm running it. And this time I'll get it as 115 records. Okay. So, this is, yeah, you have a question?
Uh, no, yeah, this question was, so we don't have the IntelliSense here, Rahul, in the JavaScript
No.
that's with the script.
See, we have it. This is a console. Not supposed to write the scripts here. This is for this is a console where I am using it just to display the results right now to you. Right? When you do actual coding, you will do it in editors, script editors. Right? I am using this script background because I want to show this right away onto the screen. What is the output of it? And when you go back to, let's say you are writing a client script or you are writing a business rule and you are using that script editor, you will get IntelliSense feature available there. Here in this scripts background, it is not available. Make sense? This
Okay.
script background
Yes.
people use, administrator use. For example, let's say if I have to update 100 records into a table using a script from the background, right? Some developer did something wrong and now I have to correct it. Right? So I have to write a script and I have to update that table using a script into the background. So you can make use of this script background. You can write a script, get that script here and execute it. Right? But when you do actual programming for a form or a page or an application, then you will be using your script editor or studio or any IDE there within different components and there you will get the intelligence. Okay, this is just for practice purpose. I'm just showing it. This is not the actual place where you will write the script and get that executed using application. This is just a handy tool for developers to see how their scripts can be, can be practiced. So this is for practicing purpose. Make sense?
Okay.
Easier for me to, it's easier for me to explain what I am doing using the script, using this script background console.
Okay.
Now, if you are writing a UI page, if you create a UI page, which is just like a web page into ServiceNow, and you want to build a component, you want to put a select box that will contain all the incident numbers where the short description is not empty, right? So what you will do is you will write this glide record script there in the UI page somehow, right? And then get all the values from this glide record value, the target variable here, and loop in through the select box that you have created there on the UI page, and then you will put it there. I'll quickly show you an example of UI page. This is one use case that I am going to show. So if I go to UI page, let me look into any of the UI pages created which might have a glide record. I'm not going to create one right now. So see, these UI pages are built using HTML, XML, and JavaScript. Right? So the syntax that you see here, some of these will be CSS scripts that you are seeing. Some of these are XML-like structures, and these are JavaScript structures. Now let me look into. You can see here when I am building this page, this HTML-like the JavaScript structure that I have here. Within that, see the person whosoever has created this has used this glide record, and he is referencing the cool thing table, and from this table he is getting the number field by setting some variable. For example, he is applying the where clause into the SQL statement. right? He is doing select star from cool things where number equals this value that you are supplying to it, right? And then he wrote a div class here, and using the div class, he is doing gr.text.getDisplayValue. So whatever value we got by doing this glide record, he is putting that value into this div, right? And then he is showing that page. So if I have to show this page to you, let me try it. When I try it, this page is displayed, right? So somewhere, I don't know what div he was referring to, somewhere on this page, the value that you are seeing is retrieved from the cool things table, right? So you actually created a UI page and you created these fields dynamically by getting data from the table. And then for doing that, you used a glide record. And after you received the glide record, you created a div onto the page, and that div contains the data that you retrieved from the glide record. Is it a good use case for you now?
Yeah. Yeah. So we are showing that data result in the by using the HTML
Right.
embedded in the
Right.
HTML.
So this is one use case of using a UI page. At times you will need a UI page to be built. For example, let me look if I have the registration one. I don't have in this instance. For example, you build your marketing event application, and now you give a registration page to your users, right? To any user who is going to register for the marketing events, you want to provide a registration page, right? And for that, you want to use a UI page. You created a UI page from here, and you want to stick that registration page to the marketing event application, or you want to provide the marketing event application registration page to somebody else outside the boundary of ServiceNow, then you can use that UI page, you can get data from the users, and then you can set the value into the marketing event application's tables, whatever table, registration table is there, using the UI page, right? So that's one use case. Otherwise, other use cases are within the scope of ServiceNow in areas like uh, different scripts that we have to do. For example, let me look into UI action. It's create profile. So maybe this create profile will be inserting a record into the table, and it should have a script that will have a glide record somewhere. Let me see. Now see, this is a UI action of create profile. It might be being, it must be used somewhere on the pages into the HR application or somewhere. Now you can see this UI action of create profile. What you are doing here is, you know, you are playing with some UI elements on the form. You are doing some operations and just looking for glide record somewhere if it is there. Alright, this is using glide Ajax. Let me simply search for glide record. Let's say I'm going to do incident table. If I can get something. Alright. So here I get a business rule. And we talked about business rules. Business rules are like triggers into the RDBMS, right? Now here there is a business rule written for update child incidents. Right? So vaguely understanding this business rule could be to update when you are updating one incident, all the child incidents associated to it will be updated into the incident table. Right? So that could be a valid business case, use case for this business rule. Let's look into the script that it has. So I open the business rule here. I go into the business rule. Now you can see that this business rule is having a glide record entry. Right? So there is one function written by the developer which is update child incidents, and this update child incidents is doing something, and update child incident is calling update children. Whenever the child incidents are updated, the update children method is called, and this update children method is actually getting this glide record value, using the glide record value here, right? It is making a glide record call to the incident table, adding a query on parent incident, right? So looking for the current, looking for all incidents from the incident table where the parent incident value is the current sys ID that you received from the form, right? And then it applies another query here. Then does add active query, gets all the active queries from the database, and it is traversing through the records that it gets, set certain values, and does the update operation here, right? So this is another case where you are using it in business rules. So you are playing with data. The some of the data in the table is getting updated. Now this is a trigger. This is a business rule when a particular condition is met, and the condition is update. Whenever that table is getting updated, this business rule and this script will be executed, right? So when you update the incident record into there, it will look for all the child incidents which is available and update those child incidents as well. And to do that, you are using the client record here because you have to insert data into the incident table, right? And to insert data into the incident table programmatically, you have to use client record of the incident table and you have to use the update function. Clear?
So business, yeah. So business rule is only used as a trigger, or it has a different significance also.
See,
It's. I think it's only validation.
validation?
Validation purpose only we use mostly business rule. Triggering a validation rules.
Yes. On a certain operation, on these
Yes.
operations, insert, update, date, delete, query. It can be validation, Kumaran. Other way I can say that uh,
Okay.
it's a necessary update in certain use cases as well. The validation is right,
Okay.
but let's say there are
Okay.
two applications. One is incident application and another is, you know, another application is which is getting data from the incident application somehow, right?
Okay.
Now, validation is to make sure that all your related tables are maintaining the relationships or the integrated values, right? But if these are
Okay.
two applications and another application is dependent upon the feed that you are getting from the previous application, right? So in that case,
Okay.
validation might not be a right word to use, but still triggers are used for validation to maintain the data relationships, and
Okay.
making data feeds available to other applications could be another scenario as well,
Okay. 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 Thanks.
right? So basically you are updating another one table on the call of another table, on the update, insert, delete, or query of another table. It's just like database trigger, right? So take it as in the sense of RDBMS triggers only. That is the exact same thing that we are doing using business rules and service now.
Okay.
Now the other case that I am going to take here for GlideRecords is the UI action. This close incident UI action, this must be onto the incident form somewhere that will appear on certain conditions. Now this UI action is to close incidents. If we see the hint here, close all incidents related to the current problem with the state awaiting problem. So this is basically into the problem application. If I go to problem application and I go to any problem record where the state of the problem is awaiting problem. So I'm going to apply a filter here, awaiting problem. Close all incidents to the current problem with the state awaiting problem. Hang on, I don't have, am I looking at the wrong place? I want to see this. to filter out. Go into here. I don't know what application it is referring to. Anyways, it is looking for some awaiting problem state into problem application or something. And here, you're using this UI action, which is a context menu item on the form, right? This one, close incidents. Sorry. So if I do this close incident UI action from here, if I click this script will be executed, right? Whatever has been written in this script will be executed. Now this script is making use of a glide record. What is that? Right. So it is using glide record on incident table, adding certain queries. Problem ID is where current sys ID, right? And then adding another query which is incident state equals incident dot awaiting problem, incident state dot awaiting problem, and it's doing some checks and doing incident query. By doing incident dot query, it retrieves some record from the incident table. Now it is looping through the records that you get from the incident table and setting values as incident state dot closed and active equals false and updating the table, right? So in this case, when you are using this contextual menu item of UI action to close this incident, close incidents associated with this problem, you are actually calling a UI action, and that UI action has a glide record in place which will close all the incidents related to this problem is a problem record, right? If it had some problem, some incident associated to it, and you do this right click and close incident, it will close the incident there for you. Make sense? This is another use case. Is it clear?
Rahul, can you show me one more time the query you have used?
Can you see it?
Yes, so it has incident dot incident state. That's a property, right?
This looks like a property. It must be saved somewhere. Incident state. It's like
So
values that
when
you have.
okay, so when we say under the while loop, we say incident is the record dot incident state dot
Right?
state value. Okay, so we are setting the
Yeah,
property.
you are setting the value as incident state dot
uh,
close.
okay, okay,
So we're coming to the update statement, update method. We have not arrived at there at the date, but we'll
okay,
come to that and we'll try to update the records into the table as well. Okay, so these will be used whenever you give your form some capabilities, some actions, right? Some sort of actions that you are giving. You are see major operation. What you have is get, set, update, delete, right? So that's what we have to do using glide record. Now, where on the form you have to use it is to be decided by you, and then you have to use appropriate components. For example, the UI actions, or you have to use a client script, or you have to use let's say you have to use it within the workflow or something, some run script, or you have to use it using a business rule or something. So how do you want to organize your data? What is the flow? What is the appropriate component for using? That you have to decide, and you can decide it, but then you can use these glide records to do those kind of operations. Okay?
okay.
I'll go back to scripts background. Since we talked about updating a database, updating a table, let's do this script, which is to update a table, update a record or a group of records. Now, here's what I'm doing. I'm looking for the incident table, looking for all incidents where the active filter is set as true. I'm into the incident table, going here, looking for all records where active equals true, and then I retrieve all those records. I retrieved 79 records out of the 118 odd records available, right? So there are 79 records into the system that has active filter set as true, right? Now what you are doing is you are traversing through all the records that you retrieved and you are setting active filter as false. Right? This is what you are trying to do. And then when you do that, I'm also printing gs.print active incident, the incident number equals closed, whatever. And then I'm finally updating it. Now if I execute this, all these 79 records will be converted into active equals false. Let's do that. Let's do that disaster. And I'm going to run this script. Alright. It says invalid assignment left hand side and where. Let me see what has happened. Where is the invalid assignment? Correct, 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 correct. Looks correct. Hang on. Let me see where I have done wrong. I think that statement was problematic statement. Alright. It brought some more issues. And it says alright, these incident has some SLAs attached to it and it has ruined those SLAs. And now it is saying slow business flow. So this is all informational. I think our script worked. If I go and refresh the form, it didn't work.
We are covering SLA, right, Rahul?
Yes, we will. Let me try to do some more queries and filter out some all active and I'll do state, let's say state is in progress. Now I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put encoded in, and then I'm going to put here this. Hopefully it should print something, should do something. This is script completed. I had how many? 26 of them. Now if I, so what I did is, this time what I did is, it looks like the earlier script went through some certain records where some some SLA was attached to it, which it was violating or something, and there was some slow business rules reported as well. So I went ahead and reduced some number of records from that and utilized another filter where I am getting active equals to and state equals to. And now I will I'll receive a less number of records. Here in this case 26 records were available. And then I went ahead and updated the records and set the value for these records as active equals false. Right? And this was executed. Now if I go back and refresh the list, it did not update. That's interesting. It is doing something, but somehow it is not getting reflected here. Oh, okay, it's still into active equals true. And the script that I have done, I make active equals false. Let me change it a little bit just to tweak what mistake I am making. It did update this time, but for active equals to it did not change. I don't know, maybe there is some validation or something set on this one. Let us see. Active equals true is, these are still true, right? It did update the short description, but it did not update the not update the it did not update the active field. Active false. I'm appending 1, 2, 3, 4 at the back of the short description just to make sure that it goes there. It updated the short description. Now I can refresh this. It updated the short description with 1, 2, 3, 4, but then the active filter is still true. Okay, guys, I'll have to see why this active filter is not getting updated. However, the other field column is getting updated using this script, update script. But this active filter is not getting changed. Maybe say there is some validation or something that is put. I need to find out and make a note of it as well, just to see why the active filter is not getting updated. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll find out why it is not updating the active filter. However, you just saw this is the script to update the records into the table, right? I updated the short description somehow, but somehow this is not getting updated. We'll find out why. So to update it, so this is, see, the update operation will take it's a two-step process, right? First, get the qualifying records which you want to update by applying the filters and all. Okay, so this is the step that you did. You are getting the qualifying records here, active true and state true. And when you have the qualifying records, launch a while loop, and then put your conditions, your values that you want to update here, and then fire the update state. That's it. So that's for update. Okay?
Okay.
Hang on.
So basically, we update inside the while loop. We always reuse that update statement, record dot update. That's enough.
Yes, see, because you are getting a data set, you are not just getting one data. Yeah, so put it in the
Okay.
while
Okay.
loop and see
Okay.
see what it has. I think one thing that I might be doing wrong is the boolean values. So if I do red dot active equals zero, let me
Okay.
see. Let me see if this works for me. Hopefully this is a problem. No, it's still not working. There's something else to it.
Okay.
Anyways, this is a problem area. I'll find out. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to discuss right now is if you have to use an auth query within the script, you can do that too. So here is what I'm going to do. You are doing a glide record on the incident table. You are doing add query priority equals 1, but then you want to apply an OR query. So you are doing add OR condition priority equals 2. So you are basically looking into the incident table and trying to find out all the records which has priority equals 1 or priority equals 2. Right? So look at this method, add OR condition. So this is the add query that you have. Now then you go ahead and query it and you can print your records. gs dot print and you will do inc dot number, something like that. So this will give you an OR query result, right? You can, so this is just like you do, select um, call one from table this, right? Or you know something like that. Sorry, where call two equals this or call 2 equals 3, something like this. So if you do something like this, then the same statement translated here in ServiceNow will be by using add or condition method. Okay, hope that is clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, we should know all the documentation here, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Now, if you have to insert a record into the table, so let's do that too. Let's do this example. I want to insert a record into the incident table using a script. I want to make a short description as network problem, and I'm going to put the caller ID as, let's say, Rahul employee, right? And since this is a singleton set, I'm going to deal with just one record. I do not need the while loop, right? So I'm going to use this and I'm going to execute it. When I execute it, it should create a record into It should create a record into the incident table. I hope this is the one. 1511. Yeah, this looks like the one. Caller ID it didn't set because it might not have that Rahul employee there. But then you have this network problem set here, right? So this incident was created. Caller ID information you don't have. So if I want to change the caller ID information, so let's do, if I am doing Adam Alba, right? So I'm going to set, instead of Rahul employee, I'm going to set Adam Alba, and then I'm going to run this here, go back. Now when I go back, it did not set it. Again, what must be wrong? Just setting the display values. Alright, so this time it set the caller ID as Adam Alba along with the short description as network problem. So you have, again, you have inserted a record into the incident table with a new incident number, the caller ID information you provided into the script, Adam Alba, and the short description as a network problem that comes up here, right? So this is to insert a record into the, any table using GlideRecord. So this is GlideRecord insert method. Okay. Now, if you want to delete a record from the table, let's say I want to delete this record um, where the incident number is this one, INC 00100055, right? So I want to delete the record. So for that, I want to add a query where I want to put the number, this one, I'll put number as this, and we'll try to execute this. I'm on the incident table. I did rec.add query. I applied a filter, which record I want to delete. Now, since this is a singleton record, it will delete just one record from the table, right? And then I'm querying it. I got the record that I want to delete. I'm launching a while loop, deleting the record from here, running it. When I did, so it says incident ID this, deleted. Now if I go back and I'll try to search this incident ID 10055, and it should be deleted. I do not have 10055. Right? So that goes away. So this is how you delete your query from GlideScript. So if you have to delete your query using GlideScript, you will use that query. If you have to delete any record from using GlideScript, you will use that query. Okay? So today we saw several methods from GlideRecord class, which is used to apply filters on the data. We saw some common use cases where you use the GlideRecord. Then we
Mhm.
used the GlideRecord update, GlideRecord insert, and GlideRecord delete methods, right? Which will be quite useful for us when we do design our applications and when we have to make our application interactive, when we want to do database interactions within the applications, right? So then in these cases, it will be quite useful to use GlideRecord. All right. So tomorrow we'll be continuing with some more concepts. We'll look, probably we'll look into some more scripts, or we'll try to look into other components, components like email notifications and then update
Okay.
sets. So stuff like
Okay.
that we'll be doing tomorrow.